since the first human heart found stillness in chaos. Peace has opened its infinite quiet beneath all noise, like depths beneath stormy seas, like silence holding all sounds, like space containing all movement, until even breathing becomes an act of conscious tranquility. Through ages marked in countless moments of sudden stillness and unexpected calm, this quietness has touched every soul, speaking to both warriors and worriers, to seekers and finders, to all who have ever found center in storm, to all who have ever known the profound quiet at the heart of being. Strain, how this deepest stillness often proves most dynamic, how this quietest state contains most power, how this apparent emptiness holds fullest presence, how this seeming absence encompasses all that is. Tonight we study this eternal stillness, not to escape life's movement, but to understand what makes hearts suddenly find home in chaos. For in the very heart of peace lies a message about reality's true nature. In its very quietness whispers a truth about the ultimate ground of being. In peace's first moment, something in the soul suddenly settles, each turbulence becoming dance, each chaos transforming to order, each noise shifting to music, until we find ourselves centered when all logic says scatter. Watch how this settling changes everything it touches, how it makes stormy things still, how it turns discord to harmony, how it transforms agitation to ease, until we become vessels of a tranquility we didn't know we held. The ancient ones knew that peace speaks in the language of silence first, the dialect of stillness, the grammar of presence, the poetry of being, creating symphonies of tranquility from the simplest acts of conscious rest. Consider how this quieting reshapes our world, how it deepens surfaces, how it slows rushing, how it calms turbulence, until we find ourselves seeing through peace's eyes. In the geography of peace, every moment becomes an invitation to depth, each chaos offering new stillness, each storm suggesting new calm, each conflict presenting new harmony, until even movement becomes an expression of rest. See how we learn to move from center, how we discover stillness in motion, how we find quiet in sound, how we create peace through presence, until tranquility becomes our natural state. The wise ones whisper that in peace's deepest moments lies its greatest power, that in its most profound quiet dwells mightiest force, that in its stillest points lives truest strength, teaching us that sometimes the greatest power wears no movement. In these centered spaces, we become dancers of infinite tranquility, movers of eternal calm, creators of endless peace, shapers of unlimited quiet, until even our motion serves stillness. Deep in peace's mystery, we discover its paradoxical power. Like eye of hurricane, like depth beneath waves, like space between heartbeats, each moment of true stillness becoming a source of profound strength. Feel how this centeredness changes everything, how it makes chaos coherent, how it turns confusion clear, how it transforms fragmentation whole, until we understand that peace is not absence of movement, but its source. The center holders taught that in our very stillness lies our greatest power, not despite life's motion, but within it, not beyond its chaos, but through it, creating a stability more powerful precisely because it can hold all movement. Watch how this understanding reshapes action, how it makes doing flow from being, how it turns activity mindful, how it transforms motion to dance, until we become not seekers of peace, but its very source. At peace's heart, we find the power of pure presence, not in escaping now, but in entering it fully, not in future promise, but in current completeness. Each moment becoming an invitation to profound rest. See how these moments of presence illuminate everything, how they make partial whole, how they turn fragmented complete, how they transform scattered centered, until we become not pursuers of peace, but its embodiment. The presence dwellers knew that in peace's deepest expression, searching ceases, that in its truest touching, seeking ends, that in its fullest flowing, striving stops, teaching us that real peace needs no achievement. Consider how these quiet moments reshape reality, how they deepen experience, how they enrich encounter, how they sanctify ordinary, until we find ourselves at home in the eternal now. Beneath peace's individual moments, a limitless stillness waits, like ocean beneath waves, like sky holding clouds, like space containing galaxies, each separate quiet becoming part of an eternal tranquility. Listen to how this deep stillness holds everything, how it embraces all motion, how it contains all sound, how it encompasses all activity, teaching us that peace is not opposite to life, but its very ground. The depth knowers understood that in peace's infinite quiet lies a greater story, that in its boundless stillness flows timeless truth, that in its endless calm moves eternal being, showing us that our tranquility joins cosmic silence. See how nature demonstrates this holding, how space holds planets, how ocean holds waves, how silence holds music, teaching us that peace, like space itself, grows deeper in its containing. Deep in peace's essence, an unexpected vitality emerges, like silence pregnant with music, like stillness full of dance, like space alive with possibility. Each moment of true quiet becoming a fountain of creative power. Watch how even movement serves stillness, how activity deepens rest, how noise clarifies silence, how chaos enhances peace, until we begin to see life's turbulence not as enemy, but as peace's dynamic partner. The ancient seers knew that in peace's deepest nature lies perfect paradox, that in its quietest moments dwells greatest power, that in its stillest points lives strongest force, teaching us that true peace is not passive, but dynamically alive. Consider how nature uses motion to reveal stillness, how planets spin in silent space, how rivers flow in quiet depths, how winds move in vast calm, teaching us that peace contains rather than opposes life's movement. There comes a moment when we discover peace was never about escape, but about profound inclusion. Both stillness and motion, both quiet and sound, each heart becoming a vessel of cosmic containment. See how this deeper peace changes everything, how it makes room for chaos, how it embraces conflict, how it includes disturbance, until we realize that true peace lies not in elimination, but in infinite capacity. The wisdom keepers taught that peace's greatest gift is its completeness, not in rejecting turmoil, but in transcending it, not in avoiding storm, but in and centering through it, teaching us that true peace holds all of life's faces. In this wholeness, we find what peace had hidden from us, our capacity to be both still and moving, our ability to be both quiet and expressive, our power to be both centered and active, not despite life's chaos, but within it. Strange grace. How in embracing peace's full nature, we discover our own, not as mere seekers of escape, but as centers of living stillness, not as avoiders of chaos, but as holders of wholeness, not as pursuers of quiet, but as peace itself aware, like space that knows both emptiness and fullness, like ocean that knows both depth and surface. A new way of being emerges, not from seeking only quiet, but from holding all sound, not from pursuing only stillness, but from containing all motion, not from finding only peace, but from becoming it. The mystics understood that consciousness itself is an act of peace, that awareness itself is a form of stillness, that being itself requires infinite containment, teaching us that to be alive is already to be participating in eternal quiet. Watch how nature demonstrates this endless peace, how space holds all yet remains untouched, how depth contains all yet stays serene, how silence embraces all yet keeps its peace, teaching us that peace is not something we achieve, but what we eternally are. And so we move through our days differently now, neither fighting nor fleeing, but present to all that stirs and settles, carrying our peace not as achievement, but as nature, not as state, but as being, free at last to move, without losing center, to engage, without losing quiet, to live without losing peace, in the infinite space of the heart's capacity to be both still and dynamic, both quiet and expressive, both centered and forever unfolding.